And if someone wants to go ahead and start out with the first question, fire away.
Yeah, Jermaine, I guess first off, could we just get your reaction to J.C. Horn being on IR now after that injury and how that changes this defense?
Obviously, it was a tough loss. We all feel bad for JC, but he's a fighter. He goes hard at everything he does. So we expect him to go hard in his rehab and be back whenever he can. But as for the team, it's just the next man up mentality, and I feel like we all should just need to have that mentality.
Hey, have you had an opportunity to talk to him and what's he like or what's he been like?
Well, his spirits is definitely still up. He hasn't seemed like he was down anytime I've been able to talk to him so far. Like I said, and I seen his post, I reacted to it. So I think his spirits is still high. He's a positive guy, and like I said, he attacks everything he does. So I think he's going to do that with his rehab.
All right, let's go to David Newton, followed by Will Palacic.
Hey, hey, Jermaine, I want to ask you, like a player like JC and now bringing in a CJ Henderson, how important is that big physical cornerback to this defense and what you guys want to do?
Well, having JC is obviously helps out because he's a big corner, but like I said, it's just the next man up mentality. We all have to. The standard is the standard, So no matter who's in there, you got to hold yourself up to the standard that we play at, and no matter who's the corner, you got to come up in the run game and make tackles, and you got to come up and be able to cover, So that's just what's expected at whoever's out there.
Thank you.
Just kind of playing off of that, Jermaine, you spoke about setting a standard through the first 3 weeks, and there's a lot of metrics to prove that up. How difficult is it to maintain that standard given the losses you've had? And number two, what steps will you guys take to try and make sure that that standard doesn't change?
Well, we can't do anything different. The process is the process, and you just gotta whatever we did those first 3 weeks, we gotta do that. So we can go 1-0 this week because this next game is the most important. So we're not looking past anything or looking past any opponents, but so once we set that process the first 3 weeks, we just gotta follow that same process this week. And like I said, the standard, we created that standard. Was that studying extra, extra film together, watching film together as a team, so just things like that. We just got to keep up those things, though, so we can go 1-0 this week.
Let's go back to Darren Gant.
Jermaine, how would you evaluate the run defense the first 3 weeks, and how important is that, obviously, this week going into Dallas?
I think the run defense has been pretty well. Obviously, there's a couple things you got to fit up on fits, but a lot of things that you hide a lot of things when you play hard and you play with effort, and I think that's one of the main things we've been doing. We've been playing very hard as a defense. We've been running to the ball, flying around, and I think that's the biggest thing.
How important has it been for you guys as linebackers? Coach talked a couple weeks ago about when Daquan's in the right spot. He's going to be in the right gap. That makes all of that easier. How have he and Derek kind of combined to stabilize stuff in there for you guys?
Well, having those two guys makes things really easy, because they're big physical guys, So when you're trying to, you can't leave them on single blocks, because they're going to beat the guy on singles, And then when they go to double team, those two guys, it leaves Shaq and myself free to go run around and make plays, So you just got to kind of pick your poison, and that's just what it is.
Do you have any more questions for Jermaine? All right, thank you, Jermaine.
Thank you.
Tommy, what was your reaction this morning when you heard about Dan being traded to Jacksonville?
Yeah, obviously Dan was an important part of my room and a really great guy who I looked up to a lot and gave me a lot of good points and what it's like to be a tight end in the league. And so, you know, what we have to focus now is just on our team and what we can do to get better every single week. And so I'm so happy for Dan being able to get another opportunity and be able to show his skill set off at Jacksonville, but mostly just working on just improving our room every single day and just play the next play.
Were there particular things he talked to you about? You know, I know it's only been a few months, but were there particular things you picked up for him over the course of the last few months?
Mm-hmm. I've seen, of course, him being 27, a guy that was undrafted. He told me really that work is the best thing to get better. You know, there's no time you're not working. I always see him going extra hard. We could just be through a walkthrough, and he's still going full speed trying to get better in his stuff. And so I think him just improving on anything and everything you can, one rep at a time, is really what he taught me.
We're going to Will Pelagic, followed by Joe Person.
I mean, what do you feel like you've been able to show in your first 3 NFL games? I know that you had some limited action in the first one, but last couple of weeks you've really shown out. What do you feel like you're doing well, and how do you feel like your game changes now with Dan out of the picture?
Mm-hmm. I really feel that what I try to do since I got here is just try to be the best in both aspects of the field. You know, I want to make sure I'm getting better in the run game stuff and also in the pass game as well, but it's something I work with Dan when he was gone, Dan when he was here, and now that he's gone, it's still something I can work with my coach, Coach Angelico, about. And so he's just trying to get us to improve at least 1% every single day. And I think that's the thing that really helps us try to be at that elite level.
Tommy, did the coaches or anyone talk to you after the trade that, you know, that this was done in part to get you more opportunities on the field?
I feel like no coaches really came up to me about it. It was, but for us, we know what we want to accomplish, so it was something that really didn't have to be said. You know, it's something that next guy's up, you got to know what you got to do to be able to have success on this team and just really just reload and just get ready to go.
So I wanted to ask you kind of if you had ever would have predicted your first NFL touchdown would have come on a tight end jet sweep.
Yeah, that was awesome because it was just like really my college experience. My first time touching the ball in college ended up being a touchdown, and same thing in the NFL. Of course, we had the preseason, but I don't count that in the regular season. First time touching it, it was a touchdown, so that was really awesome.
What was the play at Notre Dame?
The play on Notre Dame was a seam down the middle. It was a read seam, and it just ended up wide open. Ended up getting like 25 yards in the end zone. First game of Louisville. It was my first college game, so it was awesome. Ended up getting game ball and everything that day.
We'll go back to Darren Gant.
Yeah, following up on that, did you play running back at any point along the way, you know, high school or anything like that?
I grew up playing running back my entire life, really, up until I got to about high school. That's when I switched because I had a growth spurt and was super slow, wasn't as good. And so everyone was like, you can just play tight end. Just go play tight end then. But I always, at Notre Dame, I was going to be a starting kick returner for the Michigan game back in, I think, 2019. But it started being like freezing rain. It was like a windstorm the entire time, so they called it off right before game day. So I've done that kick return and stuff before, which helped me kind of situate that I can run a little bit.
Is that kind of an I told you so for all those people who said you were too slow to run now that you showed it?
Nah, it's funny you say that, but I wasn't. I guess you could say that, yeah.
All right, we'll go to Scott Fallon.
Tommy, Scott Fowler from the Charlotte Observer. While we're asking you about specific plays, can you describe 2 of them to us in detail? One, the 30-yard catch that you made on Thursday night, and then also the attempted block you had. I don't remember which game it was that Matt Rules referenced a time or two that ended up resulting in a sack.
I I think on the 30-yard reception, it was a four-vert concept that we had. But the second I ran the play, I knew it was going to be open by the way the corner buzzed down, and I knew Sam was going to laser the ball right on the money. And so that one was really good. And the other one, are you talking about in this previous game?
I guess it was. You were back in the backfield, and
Yeah, it was.
I think you just kind of got blocked back into him a little bit.
On that one, it was totally on me. I took a poor angle on my block, and that's the reason that all happened. I didn't take up the space. You know, it was something my coach taught me during the week, but it was something I need to know I have to execute. And so I'm totally on fault for that one, and it's something I got to make sure never happens again.
Thanks.
All right, we'll go back to Joe Person, followed by Mike Solarte.
Tommy, back on that rushing touchdown, you broke a record held by Gronk in terms of being the youngest tight end to ever score via the run. Is Gronk a guy, like you said, you were a running back, but did you look up to him much, and any chance you heard from him after that touchdown?
Yeah, I mean, I looked up to Gronk, all those guys, because of course when he scored that touchdown, I was 11 years old. You know what I mean? Like, that's how young I was, and so I always looked up to those guys. You know, Greg Olsen, Gronk, really Jimmy Graham, those kind of guys. That era was when I was growing up, and I really loved enjoying watching them play. And so it was pretty awesome to hear that I ended up getting a record for that.
Tommy, Mike Solarte, Spectrum News 1. Now that Dan has been traded away and you've kind of ascended up the depth chart a little bit, where do you envision the additional advice to a rookie to come from? Is it Ian? Is it coaches? How do you learn more of the tricks of the trade when one of the guys that had some of those tricks is now wearing a Jacksonville uniform?
I really feel the one thing that surprised me when I got to the league was how willing guys are willing to help. Ian, from the day I met him, same with Dan, same with Colin Thompson, everybody in that tight end room has tried to help me in any way I can. You know, I've had a question like, hey, do we do this a certain way? How's the routine you guys do that? And they've all been like that for me. You know, Coach Ange, Grant that we have in the room too, like they all have been really helpful for me to try to get myself better. And any question I need, they always have an answer for me.
And then if I could just follow up, in terms of looking ahead to this week, I know you guys are just getting into Dallas now and preparing for what they might do defensively. What have you seen from the way that they're covering that position?
For us, we've seen a whole mix of stuff. You know, we just broke down the film earlier this morning, but I think it's a good matchup for us this week. I think it's a good matchup not just for our offense, but somewhere where we can really show that we're a team that can play. You know what I mean? And we want to make sure to just go 1-0 at the end of each week. You know what I mean? We're all in on Dallas right now, and we're just trying to really do the best we can to the best of our ability.
And if I could throw one more at you, when you were drafted, you were a guy that seemed to relish the contact, relish the physical nature of playing the position. You get more of a bang out of throwing a great block, or more of a bang out of catching a pass and running somebody over? I mean, there's a lot of joy in this for you. So where does the biggest joy come from?
Honestly, every time I'm just able to play on the field. I love doing everything I can to help my teammates. It makes my job fun. You know, if I can make that block or I can make the catch, like anything that really helps us, it brings joy to me. So I could be put at freaking right guard, and if I can help, I do it. You know what I mean?
Thanks, man.
Let's finish up with Will Palacic.
Tommy, we're very vocal about the fact that at Notre Dame you were probably utilized more as a blocker than you were as a pass catcher. What has it been like at this level, I guess, getting more used to looking for the ball and looking to be obviously more utilized in the pass game? Obviously, you look for the ball on every play you go out there on a pattern, but what has it been like to be utilized more as a pass catcher at this level?
It's great. I really enjoy it. You know, of course, at Notre Dame, like I said, I wasn't used as much, but at the same time, we went to the playoffs, so I didn't have a problem with it. And when I'm here now at this level, it's really great to have the kind of staff and players that we have to help me if I had a question. Because I know I didn't really have that much experience, but it's the same thing where if I can go into the game, I know for sure that if I had a question about anything, even though we've over-prepared a ton of times, that those guys are there to help me if I have a question about really anything in the pass game. And I love how they've been able to elevate my game at the same time.
All right. Thank you, Tommy.
Mm.
please use the raise your hand button. And if someone would like to start, we can get underway.
I'll start us off, Jeremy. JB Riggs here from Spectrum News One. Appreciate you taking out the time. Just your immediate thoughts about the acquisition of CJ Henderson on the defensive side of the ball and the adjustments that you guys will have to make to keep this thing rolling the way you guys have it as being the top-ranked defense in the league.
Yeah, I'm excited for him to get here. I'm excited to meet him, start working with him. But yeah, it's a weekly process. We start over each week. This is a new week, so just building it back up.
All right, let's go to Will Palachi.
I know that you're not necessarily one to give up trade secrets, Jeremy, but I guess how will you guys adjust without having Justin here at least the next week or two?
Yeah, we've got depth in the safety room. We've got guys who can play, so they just got to come up, and we trust that they'll come in and make plays and play all out with the opportunities that they get.
And I asked this too of Jermaine, just you guys have set a pretty lofty standard through the first 3 weeks. What adjustments do you make, and how difficult will it be to try and maintain that standard that you set here over the first 3 weeks on the defensive side?
Yeah, the standard remains a standard. That's whoever's on the field is always going to be the same standard. So, guys are going to have to step in and step up. But like I said, the standard is a standard. We all believe that. We all know that. And that's what we're going to continue to hold ourselves to.
All right, let's go to Jonathan Alexander, followed by Darren Gant.
Hey, Jeremy. Hope you're doing well. I'm curious. What do you think has worked well for you all that has allowed you all to be successful so far? And at what point did you all know that? Well, what point did you know that you all had potential to be good defense?
One thing that our defense is doing really well is getting teams to 3rd and long. So winning 1st and 2nd down, starting the series off well. That way, when it is 3rd and long, it's hard for offense to call plays and convert on that. But defensively, we believe we could be good back in the spring, back in OTAs, and that's something we just kind of talked about and worked towards ever since then.
Jeremy, how complicated is the communication part of your job when it's a different cast? Miles in there, and then he's gone, JC gone, now Justin's out. How difficult is that part of your job?
It's not any more difficult at all. We've all been on the field at the same time. We're all in the same meetings. We all get the same coaching. So whoever's in, they're expected to know the terminology and knows what's expected of them on the field. So, my calls are going to be the same. I'm still going to communicate the same way. I still got to get the call across and make sure that they get it from me.
Is there an element with you, because you're still, another 3 games into playing safety again, not having Justin there next to you? Does that take away a little bit of the security for you?
Not necessarily. I wouldn't say necessarily. Like I said, I trust the guys who we have in the room. I take it upon myself to know where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing. So, not necessarily security, but Justin is definitely an asset that we have on our defense.
All right, let's go to Joe Person, followed by David Newton.
Jeremy, I know it's only been 3 games, but how would you assess the move to safety?
I feel it's been pretty well. I'm still able to move around the defense and play certain different positions and things like that. So, but as a whole, we've been winning football games, so I can't really complain about that.
Is there part of you that feels like you're still sort of learning on the run and not, quite to where you'll be maybe in another four weeks or so?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll continue to get better each week, continue to make strides. So I'm definitely not at the spot where I want to be, but I know I'm going in the right direction.
Any certain plays where that sort of shows up, or where you kind of feel like, okay, that's still a bit of an issue, but I know I'm getting it?
Yeah, there's certain things you go back and watch the film that you want to get corrected. So there's definitely those things, yeah.
Hey, Jeremy, David Newton here from ESPN.com. Wanted to ask you, I know Phil Snow's done a remarkable job of adjusting whatever you guys had to do to adjust to what players he has. How did he address you guys today as far as making the adjustments you're going to make without JC and Justin?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing he said is guys have to step up, and he trusts the guys that we have in our defensive back room and defense in general to step up and make plays.
And I also was curious, we were talking to Matt earlier today, and he was talking about the move for CJ Henderson was not just short term, it's long term. So potentially down the road, you'll have, JC and him and Dante, if he's re-signed, then you. I mean, does that remind you of anything you've seen in the past? I mean, I know Scott Fitter was around with the Legion of Boom. Do you remember them and what you first thought of them?
Yeah, of course I remember. Everybody remembers them. So probably the most dominant defensive back group, in football. But we have our own thing going on here in Carolina that we're trying to build. So I'm excited for CJ to get here and JC to get healthy. And but right now it's Dallas Cowboys.
Jeremy, when you guys see that trade come through and you see that kind of that notification or however you find out, what's it like amongst the team or whoever you're with? You guys have a text chain that you guys are like, oh, look at this, and how do you guys find out what's it like?
Yeah, Ro reached out to a couple of us. That's how I found out about it, and then that was this morning, and then guys kind of talk about it a little bit. It starts to spread real quick. So you look on social media, you see it all. So it's hard not to know about it.
I know you lose Dan, and that aside, is it exciting when you get a piece like CJ in and it's a big trade? It's not, it's not a player to be named later or like a 7th round draft pick or something like that.
Yeah, like I said, I'm excited to meet CJ. He came in with my class, so he's somebody I followed just as another defensive back coming in through the draft. So I know he's got a good game. I can't wait to work with him.
Thanks, man.
All right, let's go to Scott Fowler, followed by Mike Solarte.
Jeremy, speaking of the Cowboys, most people have an opinion on them, love them or hate them. I wondered growing up which one of those you were, and also will you watch the game live tonight?
Yeah, I'll definitely be watching the game tonight. We play the Eagles the week after we play Dallas, so we kind of get 2 for 1 there. But growing up, I wasn't really a Cowboys hater or a lover. I was a big Colts fan, so they didn't really affect what I had going on in Indy. Yeah.
Thanks.
They're kind of following up on that, Jeremy. Mike Solarte, Spectrum News 1. What have you? I mean, when you think of the Cowboys and their offense, is it Dak? Is it Zeke? Is it their receivers? I mean, what really signifies their offense to you, and what do you see from them on whatever film you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, every time you see the Dallas Cowboys, I think Dak Prescott. I mean, he's a guy who their offense goes through, and he's a quarterback. They got really good receivers, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. They got Ezekiel Elliott. They got Tony Pollard. So, they've got guys. They've got weapons on their offense, a great offensive line. So, they're a high-powered offense, but, it starts with Dak.
Does Zeke kind of have some Alvin Kamara traits as well? Because it seems like he's a guy that can be difficult to bring down if he gets to that second level.
Yeah, and he can also do a lot of things. He'll catch the ball, too. He'll line up outside. He'll do a lot of different things with him. Yep.
All right, we'll finish up with Darren Gant.
Jeremy, when you watch a game on TV, because that view is so different than the film you ordinarily watch, is it frustrating for you sometimes to watch it that way?
A little bit. I mean, I actually wouldn't. I wouldn't say frustrating. I know what I'm getting myself into. It's just watching a regular football game, and then we got the all 22 copy too. So if there's something I really need to see, I'm always gonna watch that as well.
What percentage of the time do you catch yourself thinking, "No, show me the whole thing. Let me see. Let me see this." When you got it on TV.
No, a lot of times I'll be watching. Maybe where the ball's not even at. A lot of things that a regular spectator wouldn't be looking at. So they don't get a lot of that stuff on camera most of the time.
How much football on TV do you see? I mean, whether it's college or NFL. I mean, because you watch so much film during the week, how much do you actually consume that way?
Just a regular TV copy?
Yeah.
I watch the TV copy every now and then. Usually, obviously we play on Sundays, but yesterday I was able to watch a lot of football, so that was probably the first time in a while I was actually able to watch down and watch games all day.
All right, thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you.
that's going to do it today for our player availability.